The following PowerPoint presentation is the case analysis done on Team Wikispeed, Developing Hardware the Software Way by Eric, Charles, Nicole, Emily, and Hannah for OC6444. In this presentation, we will provide an introduction and background to Team Wikispeed. We will discuss the issues described in the case. We will provide an action plan that Team Wikispeed may want to implement moving forward, and then wrap up with a conclusion to our analysis. To start off the introduction and background about Team Wikispeed, we will explain what the team is and how they came to be. So, Team Wikispeed is an innovative car manufacturer with an unconventional management and hardware development approach. They have taken a software way of thinking and turned it into a way to manufacture new cars, which has become very innovative and creative in the car manufacturing industry. They were aimed at developing a car that reached 100 miles per hour, 100 miles per gallon, plus road safety standards, meeting them so the car could drive on the road. The cool thing about this is they did surpass that goal and won media attention because of not only being able to attain those standards, but also the way in which they did so. So the way they did this was they utilized an agile project management approach to managing their team. The APM, or the Agile Project Management Approach, is an iterative process which allows feedback loops during product development. So instead of going through a very linear process of deciding what you want to do, going through scope, and then running through trials to come up with the product, the iterative process allows you to go back and make changes as is seen fit through the project management process. This, again, differs from traditional project management approaches, and that can be found in Appendix B of this PowerPoint. Some of the criticism from the automobile and manufacturing industry is that only elite teams can work like this. Small teams might be the only ones that would be able to utilize this approach, and that APM doesn't fit the industry standards, which is true, but that doesn't mean that Team Wikispeed can't be very successful in the future and that other types of companies might not want to use this approach.
Scrum was developed as an iterative and incremental agile software development framework for managing product development. The purpose of Scrum is to have a transparent project where every team member is visible and knows the status quo of the project. Because the team differs from a typical team setup, the project manager ultimately loses his status, and thus the management highly relies on the team effort. Team members are responsible for detailing task completion and their accomplishments. If there are delays because team members do not complete their tasks in time, the rest of the team may not be able to move forward. Furthermore, team members may not be able to cope with being held accountable, and eventual criticism results in conflicts. This makes communication more difficult and could cause a rift within the team dynamic. Additional conflicts and potential for friction arise when individual employees dominate the team. If one particular member pursues his interests and fails to be open to other paths forward, there may be dissension among the group. As in Team Wikispeed, people from different cultures work together. Just alone the culture differences could become a problem, but also communication and coordination issues can arise due to the globally distributed team. As mentioned earlier, the function of the project manager does not really exist. Task ownership can be pushed back and forth, resulting in the team no longer functioning to achieve the goal, or worse, individual may leave the team due to lack of responsibilities.
Our second issue for discussion revolves around open source innovation. It is debatable if advertising the development of your product would lead to further innovation, or if it would backfire and leak your design process to the world. There are benefits to opening your ideas up for collaboration, such as speeding up the development timeline and getting technical specialists to contribute. Joe Justice's main goal was to ensure experts from all backgrounds were able to contribute to developing a car that could go 100 miles per gallon. He knew he did not have the specific expertise to invent the product on his own. In this instance, the reward outweighed the risk. In documenting how the process came along and how the product was developed, Justice was able to catch the attention of the world's top engineers, mathematicians, and innovators to develop the energy-efficient vehicle. With their help and Justice's vision and guidance, Wikispeed was able to execute their vision and also gain over 500 employees, all through crowdsourcing. The last potential issue was resolved by the development of extreme manufacturing. Instead of relying on the traditional assembly line process of producing cars, Justice decided to innovate a new process. Clearly, he did not have the funding or time to build a factory, set up machinery, and train over 100 employees, so he had to get creative. Extreme manufacturing pushes product development into fast drive. It allows for improvements to be made on the fly and the development of new products to move much quicker than the traditional process. The root ideas of XM rely on owning in best practices and documenting methodology along the way. In result, for Wikispeed, it shortened the time to market, reduced labor costs, and allowed for more creativity and innovation. XM can be considered a paradigm innovation, because as defined by our Dawson and Andropoulos text, the ways in which our view of the world is reframed, such as when a shift in long-held assumptions about business occurs. Instead of using traditional paths in producing a vehicle, Justice saw benefits in developing new ways of manufacturing, disrupting the long-standing business model for automobile development.
Even though there may be many organizational, and technical differences between utilizing APM and Scrum as an approach to designing hardware and managing teams, there are an equal number of solutions that will allow for smooth transitions if implemented in more traditional workplaces. In addressing these issues, it is important to empower the designated team leader within a project to ensure that participants understand the expected outcomes of their project despite geographic separation and team size fluctuation. Communicating effectively and efficiently while also emphasizing clear goals is crucial, especially for multi-layer projects. The proper mix of team membership is also crucial to any team dynamic. The nature of Scrum teams allow members to choose what they wish to work on, but there also has to be insurance that there's enough of a knowledge base on any given team to keep it moving forward. There must be strong leadership to understand this mix and promote interchangeability as a tool when necessary. While the Scrum technique has its drawbacks in the software world, it can be even more of a challenge to implement as a useful tool in the hardware arena. This is a challenge that Wikispeed embraced. Scrum projects are divided into iterative sprints or short cycles of work that last between 1 to 4 weeks. The number of sprints that occur throughout a project are dependent upon the assessment of its size and the level of difficulty determined to be in each task. When Scrum practices are applied to hardware, far more time is usually required than the 1 to 4 week cycles, and this obviously is in complete contradiction to its nature in the world of software. Additionally, it can be challenging in the hardware arena, particularly with cars, to release working products that give stakeholders the much needed verification of progress that they require. High costs associated with expensive materials and production have often been the driver for the automotive industry in particular to adhere to more traditional drawn-out methodologies. Wikispeed used modularity in an unprecedented manner in hardware to make Scrum work more effectively. The core is broken into several parts, and Scrum teams attack those sections separately. Rapid changes of a solution could occur on any given section without affecting the other. Offering simulations as updates not only save time and the cost of development, but also are more agile in that changes can be made more quickly to adapt to a change in the course or shift in stakeholder needs in the design process. Early and often prototyping with inexpensive materials goes a long way in assessing progress in each Scrum sprint. Team Wikispeed's effective use of agile methods that included the mastery of Scrum techniques in a hardware environment revolutionized design techniques and showed how Wikispeed could eventually disrupt the entire automaking industry. Team Wikispeed masterfully exploited the open source concept to dramatically accelerate their automotive design process. The open source nature of the environment inevitably creates a wealth of ideas, and also inevitably not all those ideas can be used. Could this concept successfully translate to the automotive industry where the security of trade secrets are at stake and competitive advantage is paramount? Intellectual property is one of the most important and valuable business assets that a company owns. Innovation and technology evolve at change at an ever-accelerating pace, creating fierce competition. The automotive industry had the third largest amount of patents between 2009 and 2014. Team Wikispeed used open source innovation to complete its goal of building the car to the required specification in only 3 months. Upon completion, unlike what would happen in the automaking industry, the finished plans were open to everyone with the intent of the project being to help those in developing countries accelerate their progress. Also, the plans could be used in the economy transport design. There are more immediate disruptions developing with open source software development in cars, if not just hardware. The in-car experience will become more of a focus as companies like Genevi solicit input for in-vehicle infotainment and its design. And the final consideration of our action plan, extreme manufacturing combines the elements of Scrum, extreme programming, and object-oriented architecture that address a paradox in the automotive industry. This paradox in automotive manufacturing is in regard to the huge amount of cost and design effort that goes into the machines that print car doors, and other parts of the car. Although the machines are extremely efficient in reproducing specific designs, they are so expensive in construction that businesses are often obligated to use them until they get their money's worth, regardless of what new improvements come in the meantime. This makes the automotive industry inflexible and slow to change in the long term. Extreme manufacturing sets out to specifically counter inefficiencies by building in time to improve the process as well as the product. Cost minimization and material conservation are always at the planning forefront. Pairing and swarming techniques, where employees work in pairs of 2, are implemented in order to maximize knowledge sharing, collaboration, and quality control. The solution for revamping engineering principles lies in test-driven development. Before the design process begins, key performance attributes should be specified and means to test them created. To minimize costs, only the minimum amount needed to pass the test should be built. Design should be constantly streamlined in order to be as straightforward as possible, and planning should be done far enough in advance so that team members can self-assign their respective tasks.
There are many lessons we learned while discussing and analyzing the case. Innovation does require an out-of-the-box approach and mindset, but it does not require a complete reinvention of working procedures. Joe Justice utilized his skills and experiences made in software development and applied his knowledge in the development of his car. The only method he knew and was comfortable with was to break the big project into smaller tasks that have a clear goal and where the progress can be measured very quickly and efficiently. This procedure may have been common in software development, but was revolutionary in the producing of hardware. Considering the results established and large corporations like Boeing and General Motors had, it seemed surprising that nobody ever tried to explore the possibilities of APM procedures in hardware development. Boeing reported 2.4 times improvements using their own metrics as a result of implementing Joe Justice procedures in their manufacturing process. Of course, there is no guarantee that an open source environment or APM procedures will generate success for businesses, but the potential benefit should encourage more established corporations to consider it. We believe that the main point why the exploration is not done quicker and in a more extensive manner is closely linked to the corporate culture in many businesses today. Upper management is not willing to give up some power in order to create an environment where good ideas can be developed and knowledge is shared. We think that the people in power in today's business world may be aware of the potential benefit using APM and open source procedures, but they are more focused on their own benefit and keeping their power. Summarizing our experience analyzing the case, we believe that the story about Team Wikispeed will help us to develop a mindset and skill set that enables us to challenge the status quo and look beyond what is obvious in the first place. Just as in the picture, most of the people continue to walk in the predetermined paths, but looking around and using your experience can truly make a difference. Just as Joe Justice combined his previous experiences with the challenges he is facing today, it gave his team an edge in the development of the car. The case brought us closer to being the innovative and creative person we want to be and to make a difference in the business world of the future.
At this time, we would like to ask if there are any questions or feedback that the group would like to share with our team.